And yes, like we said, we're taking the conversations deeper into Kumerica. Let's say the hub of this, the foundation of all this in Kumasi. Now, this morning we'll be honored to do a, join ABN Radio 1, my brother DJ Slim, who'll be on standby with his team. So we're going to have a cross conversation into understanding where we are with the whole Kumerica vibe, a vibe that went viral, took Ghana or put Ghana on the map, took Ghana music to the rest of the world. The buzz has been crazy. It birthed so many new fresh artists and given rise to new talents as well. And this morning as well, we are honored to have some of these talents join us in the studio. But for a start, let me welcome my brother Kofi Jamar live in the studio. Kofi Jamar, how you doing, bro?
Everything cool.
Charlie, let me know their stories in their doors to cry.
For real.
I know. I don't know where to start from with Kofi Jamar. How I came into his life. Mm-hmm. I shouldn't say he came into my life. How I came into his life.
Tell us about it.
Yeah.
We want to know.
No. So it was. I mean, it was a broader conversation through still her manager, her executive producer, Charles Nanapiama, as well, who got in touch and said, look, I've got this amazing guy. You need to meet him, Jay. And I heard his music. I was like, whoa, this boy. Hey, who's this guy? Yeah, And I give shouts to the executive producer because she has invested. She believes in talent, and believes heavily in Kofi and invested heavily in Kofi Jamar. And I also want to ask him how he feels, just out of our conversation, how he feels about, somebody seeing you and saying that, yo, you know what, I want to put money in you.
Well, it's great, looking at where I came from.
Yeah.
She's like the one who put me on, and it makes me realize the goodness of people, Mm-hmm, it makes me want to get there so I can put people on how clean-hearted she is and how affectionate she is with the job. So it makes me realize like there's hope, for us all.
I like that. Yeah, there's hope for everyone.
There's still good people out there.
Good people out there. Because, it was back in the day that you would have, say about 15 years ago, you have executive producer want to put money in an artist. Right now, every artist is doing it on by himself, trying to push. But this is somebody saying that let me invest in him, and set up the God One record label, and boom, here we have it. Charlie, so before we come to what you've been up to, how has it been for you? So far, looking at where you started off, you kicked off, and where it is now. Now we're going to get into the drill conversation later on.
Yeah. So far, it's been good, the ups and downs, It's been good so far, and I feel like I've been accepted by the industry, and it's time. I feel like it's been phases for me, because first time it was me struggling to get recognized, But now I feel like a lot of people know me, and it's now that I have to show what I can do. Yeah, yeah.
Everyone who didn't jam to a Koso. So let's talk about the making of that song, and then real quickly. And did you expect it to get a blowout like this?
Man, I didn't expect it to get that far, because it just really took me out of Ghana, out of Africa, into the world, and it was just something. I just felt like I was adding my voice to the whole American movement when that song came out, because I already had song with Stoneboy, Me Day Up. I already had songs with Sifa Cherme, which was also doing well, but I felt like I had to add my voice, because that's where I'm coming from. And before I realized, it's all everywhere.
Let's talk about the selection of artists you put on there. I mean, I want you to run us through it. Was it your decision? Was it a conversation between you and them? Because it could have been a single.
Yeah, that was my decision though. Because the whole American wave comes with groups on a song, It came with people like groups from here. So I decided to add from different backgrounds, I'll talk from Santa America, and NYP is also from Bremen, which like two different backgrounds. So I had to add it. So you get it.
Explain this background you're speaking of.
Okay, Santa America is more like Americanized,
Okay.
Like Santa America is more Americanized, and they were mostly into the drill music when it came. But YP and Bremen people also it's local drill vibes.
Okay.
So it had that mixture.
Was it deliberate, or were you looking at? Was there a strategy for you to handpick them like this?
Yeah, for real, for real.
Well, so Okay, let's continue with the journey afterwards. Just share with us before I jump into my next question on the relationships between all of you and where it's gotten to and how it's pushing the music up until now. What were some of the experiences you had after the song was released? You know, because we saw all you guys everywhere.
True.
Everywhere.
For me, first and foremost, it was overwhelming for me because I didn't expect it to blow that much. So at a point there, I got tired because it was shows to shows to shows, back to back, you know, and I hadn't prepared for that amount of exposure because I was taking it slow around the time. Yeah, but as it came, it just blew the lid off. So I got tired at a certain point, but I knew I had to just force on through, you know, and it's been that way. And
you guys were in the UK, you were in the US. But in the UK, you played which one? It was the Party in the Park?
Party in the Park and Ghana Music Awards UK and other clubs out there.
How was the reaction, you know, the crowd?
Crazy, you know, crazy. It really made me know that the music is not just limited here. Yeah. You know, we got to take it out there. There are people out there who are really dying to hear our vibes.
I mean, the likes of Wizkid and them were all jamming to the song as well in clubs. How did you feel though when you saw them, you know, reacting to the music?
Off the roof, you know, because there are people that I've been looking up to for a long time, and they jam into your music and even passing comments that this song is crazy and stuff like that. Yo,
did you get a chance to, you know, meet up with him?
Not yet. I haven't met Big Wiz yet, but he's put me on this show coming this December.
Nice.
That'd be solid.
That'd be solid, eh? Yeah. I like the way, you know, some of these big acts also constantly look at ways of enabling and encouraging, you know. Stormzy's done it for Yao Talk as well. And let's quickly run off to Kenya with you and is it Kenya?
Calligraph Jones,
Calligraph Jones. Kenya, and let's talk about that as well real quickly. How did that come about?
Yeah,
how was the vibe?
Shout outs to Calligraph Jones, one of the best rappers out here in Africa, no doubt. And I did the song Dangerous. It started as a freestyle, you know, and I put it on Instagram. So he heard it. He just felt like, yo, I want to jump on it. Personally, he felt like the beat was kind of old school vibe. It's a throwback to his era. So he felt like, no, I have to jump on this track. So he jumped on it, and we had to go to Kenya so that we could shoot a video there because I wanted to use that chance to also travel across and see how I can present my music to other crowd, you know. So we took the opportunity to go to Kenya and did some few promotions when the song dropped.
I can imagine, I can imagine the number of streams on the Koso. I can imagine, like, because you know it was
a global hit now.
It was a global hit. Have there been any plans of, you know, more remixes of that song, or, you know, song is done? I mean, as an artist,
vibe, right?
Yeah, I feel like for me personally, I feel like the song is done. I have to look for more songs to put out there because I don't have to dwell on old glories and stuff like that. But the management can make a decision that we can make a remix of a Koso, and I wouldn't have a say in that. I would let it ride out like that too.
So what is your I hardly see you guys hanging around lately. You know, the trio, if I can call them that, the YP, the Yao Talk, the Kofi Jamar, because there was a certain Kweku flick, right? And I say that, there was a moment when you guys were, or was it because the shows were demanding you guys?
But around that time, you know, most of the shows booked us together, not just one artist. You want to have the Kumerican vibe, so either me, Kweku Flick, Yao Talk, YP, so. And it's not whenever we get the chance to meet, we vibe and we talk about a lot of stuff. But if you don't see us together, it doesn't mean that we are not like mingling like that.
So you guys are cool together.
Yeah, we really cool.
How come you haven't dropped another jam together?
Yeah, we waiting. You know, it have to take time.
Have you recorded?
Yeah, I even did a jam with YP after the Koso. That's 10 Toes. But it wasn't up there like a Koso too. But we are planning on dropping a joint, 3 of us all again. Yeah. I
don't know, but Cyril, Mystery, do you feel that, and this is a question that we'll be asking DJ Slim as well when they join us on AB1 via AB1 Radio, AB1 Radio 1, I beg your pardon as well, that we saw these people as that they had this togetherness, you know, or they have this togetherness. That's what cooks up the whole Kumerica. But in recent times, there have been sort of a lesser conversation. I don't know whether because all these artists who are all independent artists on their own have gotten lesser collaborations together? I don't know whether it's just me.
Yeah, I mean, the cheerleader effect, right? When there's a group of people, it's always more appealing than individuals. So, I mean, when they came out and they had the whole group effect, it was very, very good. It hit us as a surprise. It was a pleasant surprise, and we're ready to ride for the whole team. But everybody also has their individual projects blah,
that they
blah,
have
blah.
to undertake.
So, I think the pursuit of those individual projects kind of watered down the impact and the popularity a bit, because now instead of following the group where we know there's 5 or 6 dope artists, we have to choose who to follow and how to follow it. So that would definitely affect, I mean, the popularity and the talkability in town. Not to say it's a bad thing, because a lot of breakout stars start as groups, and then, you know, like even Wu-Tang in hip-hop, it's a group, right? But Method Man has his projects, Redman, Jizza, RZA, they all have their projects. But if you notice, the individual projects never do as well for Wu-Tang, Fugees, whatever.
Unless Wu-Tang comes, the Wu-Tang clan comes
unless
together.
Fugees come together, or unless G-Unit comes together. So it's something that you guys need to, it's a blessing and a curse. You broke out as a group, and we fell in love with you. That even if though you were not officially a group, you broke out as a collective. The songs we love from you, the first song we'll forever love from you guys was as a collective. So that collective is in the bottom of my heart. I go mess with you all day as a solo act. Go mess with Tog as a solo act. But the day you guys come back with anything as a unified group, it's already a done deal.
I mean, they're the leaders of the, you know,
new school.
the new school. Before we take the conversation away from you, when DJ Slim joins us, let's come back to some of the new songs and the hip hop joints you've been dropping. I see you dropped some freestyles and stuff like that. Talk to us about it.
Yeah, I dropped Head High Freestyle, and also previously Dangerous with Calligraph Jones, and now Plan B. Yeah. So the Head High Freestyle was just to let people know. And one thing is, since the whole Kumerica movement came about, you know, you can be a group and make the wave ride along. But also as an artist, you know, everybody is fighting for individuality, trying to get out.
Do you feel the artists that burst from the Kumerica vibe have not gone back to hold again Kumerica in? Because I can say this. I see lesser mentions, you know, both on post-digital media conversations. I just see the gatekeepers in Kumasi are the ones who are talking more about it, but the artists themselves speak less about Kumerica.
Well, one thing
I stand to be corrected.
Well, one thing about Kumerica, it wasn't a planned thing, you know. It wasn't something that someone sat us down, put us together. It wasn't like a pre-programmed. You know, it just happened. So that's why, and I feel like it's that with every culture. When it comes new, the hype is all over. When it comes new, that's how it is. But over time, you know, it depreciates as how everything have to. And I feel like the sole purpose of the Kumerican movement wasn't just the Kumerican movement, but it was to blow the lid off for artists from Kumerica. Now, like artists from Kumasi have the chance to shine. And it broke out a lot of artists around that era. And I think it had that work was what it was meant to do.
Yeah, I mean, and shouts to artists like Shatawale as well, who, you know, flew and supported the movement and burst open this new genre, if I can call it genre of music, that, you know, went global. And that's it, it went global.
Yeah.
We do have a sick disease of not being able to sometimes activate some of these things we initiate.
I think
you know, and that's the part that we'll come to.
If I want to respond to the question that you asked him about how the conversations around Kumerica seem to have died down, I think from the beginning there was that difficulty with acceptance. Now, people didn't want to accept anything Kumerica, not the music, but there was the name Kumerica. There was a fight. Why are you calling it Kumerica?
Oh, yeah,
why is it not Kumerica? So I think that holding on to it, there was some distraction. So holding on to it became a problem because, like you said, everybody doesn't want to be the one saying, oh, I'm doing Kumerica, or I'm a Kumerica musician. Then it begins to be like, oh, I put myself in a box. This box is not even accepted by some people. So nobody wants to push it. So if they had a collective, or if they had an agreement that, okay, henceforth, this kind of music, we're all going to call it Kumerica music, and then we can all rally behind it, it would have been doing well now, because by the time he releases, Kumerica music, somebody else, Kumerica music.
Wouldn't even say drill, we'll say Kumerica, right?
Whatever they say in that would have been projected in our heads, and would have been rallying with it.
I agree with you a lot, because I think there had been a silent, quiet battle line that was drawn between the South and the middle, which wasn't good and healthy for us as Ghanaians. But anyway, we are crossing over live to have DJ Slim and team join us onto the show this morning as well. And don't forget, we have the man Kofi Jamar live in the studio. Hey, big fat DJ Slim.
J.
Big fat DJ Slim. Chale sa bane ko di fufu. Sa okay, me ni Giovanni.
Ampa na sa fufu no say. I think for there you could use fufu no me said enjas fufu sa the Accra side no me said enja. You guys will show me the location.
We will show you the location. Sa chale me can say back Kumasi na chale. I mean, you know already. Yo, Slim has been a stubborn boy on Twitter. He's just been a stubborn boy. Don't mind him. He's just been a very stubborn boy. but he's one of them people who's very he says it as it is. He's like a male version of Mischi. He'll say the hard truth and say he doesn't care the reaction or what you take it as. But anyway, I mean, today we want to have a good conversation, and I underline the word good conversation about Kumerica, because it is in our own interest to make sure that we push the agenda and make this agenda global, regardless. At the end of the day, we are all Ghanaians. But Slim, please, just for a second, allow me to introduce another Kweku live in the studio, another Wednesday born live in the studio. What was good, bro?
I'm doing good yourself.
Charlie, I'd say. Hey, more riska.
Fresh.
Slim, boys, no more riska. Sikam pedede.
I'm riska baby. I'm riska baby. And you can swear to be a pedede at a certain point.
But Slim, make I ask you, are the boys bringing you some of the money?
Not really, but they've brought me something bigger than money. They've myself, any other creatives at all region we've experienced. I tasted my fair share of international media, kind courtesy Kumerica. I think I was interviewed by Vice from UK. They came into my studio. I was also interviewed by a couple of international media outlets because of the Kumerica wave. And I think one of them came in because they spoke to YP, and YP was like, Charlie, if you want to, understand Kumerica, or you were looking for an influential DJ in the region, just talk to DJ Slim. So they reached out to me on Twitter. So yes, and then we extended the conversation, and he drew studio as he took shots, and people also got to see me on international platforms because of Kumerica, and that exposed me to the world. I've actually had gigs from that, and they don't need to put physical money in my pocket for that, but they've done more than that. And for other creatives in the region, I can talk about Omomo Pamadeo or Regimo, people that were doing souvenirs for Kumerica. I actually talked to one of the guys, Sketchy, this year. He's a street artist, and he did amazing. In fact, he told me yesterday or the day before yesterday that, Charlie, Kumerica vibe and buy t-shirts and Kwame ton minya fast 6,000.
Wow.
I'm like, what? That's like profit of 6,000 Ghana cedis. So imagine if we keep the momentum going, if everybody in the industry keeps supporting. I mean, we can have a different line of employment, coming out of one brand, and that is one region alone. I don't know about the other regions if they want to go on that same line or path, but it can also create a good source of revenue and, try to cancel the unemployment margin a little bit. That's what I'm saying.
That's why I said president too. You talk like president, let's sort out the unemployment issues. DJ Slim. But, Slim, hold on. Without you, hold on. Let me just come back to the man Darlington live in the studio as well. Charlie, bro, what's good, man? Let's say.
I'm doing good yourself.
I see you're doing good, man. I see you're doing good. You've been doing good.
Sure.
Yeah, you've been doing good. What have you been up to recent times?
A lot of things. I mean, I just released a new song with Sama, and before Sama, I had songs like the BO and Unipa and Go Slow to that did very well to us.
We were talking initially about, I was asking Kofi about, I mean, Kumerica birth, you guys, one way or the other, gave, massive platform, to showcase your craft to the world. But it's like we don't see that that collaboration, that link up. There are a lot of individuality going on with every single artist, which is very well respected. But some of us feel like we are nearly passing the perception that there are internal rumbles and probably you guys don't want to. I don't know. I just can't get off the vibe. I'm going to ask Slim this question. Yes, some silent. I'm going to ask Slim this question, but I'm just throwing it back to you.
Okay, so personally, I feel like there's nothing like conflict among the boys or something. There's nothing like that. But I feel like the movement was to introduce most of us into the scene. The likes of Kofi Jamar, myself, Talk, Kweku, Black Sherry. I mean, that's what.
Yeah, I'll just need you to just position your microphone. Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
So
you can pull it towards you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was to, introduce most of us into the scene, and then when we get into the scene, now everything is left on us to show the world what we have inside us. So it wasn't necessarily for us to, be doing everything like a group, like the collective group or something like that. Yeah, but it was mainly to put all of us in there. And I feel like people are saying there's nothing like the Kumerican vibe anymore, because now the boys are not doing that typical trap music, that typical the drill music anymore. So people feel like there's no more Kumerica or something. It's because now we are exploiting a lot of the hidden talents inside us. Now people are focusing on engaging on or doing other stuff like Afrobeat, other genres, high life, and all this genres. So people feel like there's nothing like Kumerica anymore. But trust me, the spirit is still there. We are all cashing out. For me, for instance, I'm cashing out almost every week. I'm looking good. I'm fine. Big shouts to Kumerica. Big shouts to the people that help.
Yo, let me just go back to DJ Slim and NYDJ as well, as has joined us from YFM. Good morning, NYDJ. How you doing, bro?
Good morning, Jay. I'm doing very well. Yourself?
I'm good. Chale, you're looking in between corporates, a fine husband, and a lot of money, bro. Like. One mixed bag. But guys, we've been talking Kumerica. Maybe just for the benefit of our listeners who just might also crave an understanding to this, what is Kumerica in the first place? And I want to throw this to NY and then supported by my man DJ Slim.
Okay, all right. So thank you very much for having us. When you talk Kumerica, obviously there's a term that was coined by individuals right here in Kumasi to mean anything coming from Kumasi. You realize that some few years back, you had people call Kumasi Kezai. Like there were several terms, different names used to represent Kumasi. Ashaima has its own, Accra has its own, but Kumasi was more like Kezai. But not too long ago, this term came up as in Kumerica, and it had to do more like symbolism between what we have Kumasi and what we have in America. So if you come to Kumasi, for instance, we have places that are named after cities or states in America. So this all came together for the name Kumerica to actually be represented. If you check the flag, for instance, he had a bit of representation of Menchia, which represents Kumasi or Asante Mai, and then that of America. So there were all these things that come together to make Kumerica. And luckily, this was made known, or it became vibrant because of the music that actually came from here. So Kumerica is not just for the music, but it was just a name to represent anything Kumasi, so people can actually belong.
Interesting. So, based on this expression, was it supposed to be a term representing the culture or the lifestyle of the people, or was it birth of of drill music?
Well, so like I said earlier, it was actually to represent anything Kumasi, anything culture, anything lifestyle. But the only thing is that what actually pushed it, what brought it to the fore was music. You know how powerful music is in trying to preach anything, even in advertising and anything, music plays a deeper role. So music actually led the fore in projecting what Kumerica was. But I think that's one of the challenges that happened with Kumerica, because what happened was that the whole focus was on the music and all the other things were left behind. So unfortunately, as the music went, all the other things were left behind. But Kumerica in its own was not just about the drill music. It was just a portion. The music was just a portion of what Kumerica actually stood for.
So let me come back to Slim real quickly. And I'm also well informed. Slim, we have the man Portfolio live in the building, right?
Yes, Portfolio is also here.
Great. All right. So I'm going to be coming to him shortly.
Portfolio is also in the building. Yeah.
Fast forwarding 2 years down the line, what would we say about this vibe Kumerica? Grown, stalemate, or dwindled?
I'll say grown, and I'll also, say still a little bit because of the initial fire. Of course, we understand the growth of every brand. There's the germination stage, and of course, there's a stage that you get to, and then you need another form of push to elevate it to the next level. And I think we are at that point where we need to also bring out the other elements that also makes Kumerica what it is. And I'm talking about the other creative forms. We can talk about our fashion sense, of which we have a very, very booming fashion industry over here. We can talk about our movies or our skits, of which it's undoubted that we have the biggest in the country as it is, because we have our Dr. Likey's, we have our senior man Leila doing amazing on YouTube and all that. So this is the perfect time for us to bring the other creative forms, the street artists that I was talking about, Kechi Yadishia and the likes. We have great, amazing graphic designers over here and also videographers over here. And this is the perfect time for us to also shine the light on them. I think what my brother NYDJ was saying is kind of true, because the music vibe, and especially it being tagged around the drill, was also one of the things that, makes people think that the fire about Kumerica is gone. But we have amazing high life artists also in this region. We have crazy Afrobeat artists. There's one boy coming up, his name is Mickey Lux. Let me just plug him in there. Amazing sound. I listened to his song. Nigeria need boy being. It was like, oh boy, not a book room. And I'm like, wow, it's amazing. So other art forms are now the target of whatever campaign is going on right now, because there are a lot of creative guys and media guys wanting to push the other forms of art onto the forefront and let it also drive the Kumerica agenda. We believe, and myself, I do strongly believe that, government also needs to come in to also push it in a certain sense. And I'm saying this, hear me out. Number one, we have the year of return that was being pushed around the creative industry. We can all agree to it, because the basic thing about the year of return was about our creative industry, from the parties being held in Accra and all that. And to imagine, over the 600,000 people that was said to have been in the country because of the year of return, 600,000, they've been to Kakum, they've been to all these forts, they've been to all these castles and all that. On Koi Kwanabi, at the second time, the person might have visited all these tourist sites. It's also up to the Ghana Tourism Authority, of which me and you, and a former boss, Nana Openia Kwesiajima, is the leader, to also find other creative ways if we want to sustain the heat of driving, tourism as a key, tool for, development and growth in the country. To, in fact, as it is, invest in other part of the country, of which Kumasi is the second big thing. We already know that Kumerica was a global or is still a global phenomenon. So we need to invest in it. We actually need to invest in it. And government needs to play a key role in doing that. Apart from solving unemployment issues, it presents another venue whereby tourism can also flourish. Imagine people coming into the country because of what Sarkodie said on stage. Or Banu Bedru Accra, that is it. Also, Timiba Kumasi. Now, Kumasi and Oba, what is going to drive it? Kumerica is something that they know and they are used to. As Chance the Rapper's flyer, and Asaka Boys are really represented in there. Why? Because they produce a global sound. So it's now is the best time for us to also think about investing in that, not just as a group of people, be no, it's not about that anymore. It's about a national agenda. We can create tourism out of that. And through music, you guys also have a responsibility in doing that. Put our music videos out there. Let them know that there's also a place. Let them know that there's also America somewhere that they are producing sound
Slim. Okay, Slim.
I got you guys on the spot. Yeah, but I have to.
Slim, you two, I'll come to what I want you to do for us.
It's about the greater good.
It's about the greater good. But hold on for a second. Yeah, let me get Portfolio's reaction to this as well. If you can please plug him in, and then this question, I also want our two artists here to also start considering and think about an answer for us. Now, the birth of the reason for starting Kumerica, this whole Kumerica vibe, especially promoting this drill music from Kumasi, do you feel was birthed from an unappreciative point of the music industry favoring only Accra and ignoring equal talents in Kumasi or from other regions?
Hello?
Yeah. Portfolio, are you there? Okay.
Right, I'm there, but I don't know why I'm unable to join in via Zoom. But am I on?
Yes, you're on. We can see you. That's fine. In your emerald.
You might want to repeat the question. I think I was trying to figure out how to.
So I was asking if and I stand to be corrected, that the birth of this Kumerica vibe was born from a point where possibly the talents in Kumasi felt unappreciated or didn't get an equal share of the pie of attention that the Ghana music industry gave to, let's say, Accra.
I mean, certainly there is an open truth. Ideally, if I must say, Kumerica is just an offshoot of something we had started earlier. I mean, Kumerica is a metamorphosed version of an agenda we pushed some time back, which we called Kumasi Must Rise movement. It started from our pioneers, I mean, the likes of the Flocking Stones, Ochiame Kwame, and many others, including DJ Slim. He was part of that initial process where we had to consciously put an agenda to make sure there's creative attention in this side of the region. And so that was a Kumasi Must Rise movement where, I mean, there will be stages and platforms over here, and our own people will be disrespected. Flocking Stone had to tell some promoters his peace of mind. I think Tigo Unplugged somewhere, if I can take a retrospective look into that. So it was with Kaboom, with Kunta Kinte, with a host of others, we started this. However, maybe I would also attribute this whole thing and the fact that the world was able to focus their lenses on that during the COVID time. You know, I would say, maybe pardon me if that would not sit too well with you, that the whole presumed gatekeeper system was broken, kind of scarcity and natural phenomenon, which was COVID. It was a major factor because after then, the industry didn't get to introduce what the people needed to accept. The people needed to introduce to themselves what they wanted to consume. And the kind of scarcity, that is why I have always said that. Maybe if COVID was not a pandemic, I wish nature had made it stay with us forever in a way, because I felt that COVID really gave people a sense of streaming connection, our streaming culture, our digital presence, and the fact that we the consumers of music got to feed ourselves things we felt was organically related to us at that time. And so, yes, I felt that it has been a cry for help. And then because we are being, laid back in terms of the support system, we can agree that the capital has the powerhouse. That is where all the bigger, or maybe until recently, that maybe Radio 1 has come into the picture for Kumasi and a couple of others. The powerhouse has been the capital and all that. So it was a cry for help being facilitated by COVID and something different, which was the sound. Okay. And as at that time, you know, with this Pop Smoke era and dominance of the drill music, we were able to borrow that culture and give it a blueprint here in Kumasi. And so I feel it was a cry for it. However, to say Kumerica is because perhaps we have revolved the whole movement around the sound, which my seniors has already reiterated that it goes beyond the sound. In fact, it has empowered all the other parts of the ecosystem. Over here, myself as an MC, Kumerica has really given me a very rich CV. I'm celebrating my 10-year anniversary, hosting over 1,200 events and over. And Kumerica, within a space of 2 years, has contributed massively. DJs has been empowered. I mean, the fashion side. And our local economy is being boosted. DJ Slim is having the shows. And for the first time, he wouldn't need to fly too many artists from the capital over here. Our people have been headlining our shows. We've been commanding all the crowd we needed to command, and if we were using other artists from elsewhere. And so, yes, within our economy, Jebad has been able to sell a clothing line worth 1,000 Ghana cedis per piece and has sold out. All these things are going on. But then the talkability, mainstream media I want to believe the whole thing is dead, and so we don't want to continue the conversation from where they left it. So we have taken it upon ourselves to make sure that we are still projecting the conversation. Maybe you want to define the whole thing, whether being still or still active, depending on your metrics. But here at the local economy, the prime purpose has been achieved. Then again, more importantly, I think the misconception around the whole thing was made tribal. So there was a whole lot of bigotry around it because we didn't have a PR system that was really echoing what it stood for. And so people felt, sebi, asante for no more. And so the involvement. However, I want to state here that Kumerica is by the representation. It has got nothing to do with tribe. And so when we say Eno is part of us, when we say Antifa, when we say Kwade is part of us, it's because of representation. Because ideally, they all trace their ancestry and indigenous, from the north and all that. But then because of representation. And so, I feel that Kumerica is still active, is still alive, just that we are exploring other things apart from what we used to break in, which is the drill sound. Amadu is still in the conversation. Kofi Jamar is still in the conversation. Kofi Darlington is still in the conversation. And it's not about drill anymore. It's other things. So yes, Kumerica is still active.
I'm picking off your words to ask NYDJ. I'm picking off your words to ask NYDJ a question about, yes, you said it's being discussed locally. NY, was this a sustainable project, or where do you feel that the vibe has could have amplified a bit more? Because this is a stalemate conversation as we speak now. Yes, 2 years ago it isn't the same thing that we are getting now. We don't want to create a certain barrier of any sort between north and south, or south and mid in any way, but clearly there is a certain lowered attention to the Kumerica vibe. And in the words of Portfolio, he said that it's a local conversation now, but that's not what we are looking for. What do you think has really contributed or made it to a point where it's not being as discussed as it was supposed to be?
Okay, so for me, I think I mentioned earlier, if you look at Kumerica, it was the whole driving force had to do with the drill music. And Kumerica was beyond that. Like Portfolio just said, the conversation did not go beyond music. Most of the time, anytime Kumerica was mentioned, it was just about the music. And at times, we just had fun with the whole Kumerican passport and all that and made fun with it. And it ended right there. But if we are gone beyond letting people know what exactly Kumerica represented, that's where it could have lived on and lived on. As we speak today, like you said, Vogue and all those people were writing about our artists. And what were they talking about? They were just talking about the music. The only time conversations came in about fashion was when Virgil Abloh with the other guys, with the Asaka boys, were having conversations about Off-White. That was the fashion sense to it. That conversation couldn't go beyond a certain measure. But then, like Portfolio said, there were so many things to it. DJs had their share, radio stations had their share, almost everybody in that ecosystem or in the creative space. I think 2 years ago, if you look at 3 Music Awards, look at the performances from all the guys, from Kweku Flake, from all those people. Look at all the major events that happened in Accra. Most of these artists were on there, but the conversation was just about the music. There was a challenge, which I feel had to do with Kumerica, because Kumerica in itself was not well structured. If I say well structured, in that it wasn't a deliberate conversation to say, listen, this is what we want to do. Yes, we all had the idea that artists from this side of town had been slept on. Perhaps they were not getting the attention and all that. So there was the need for them to get that attention. But I remember saying something some time ago that if we are unable to rally forces and make sure that we put this agenda together and hold on to it and we lose it, it's going to take us another time. Let me switch back into a conversation some time back. You remember that when Hip Life was on there, it was all about Kumasi. I remember those times when Marco Kumante would travel all the way to Kumasi to come see Morris Babyface just to record a song for him. And then all the artists, Lord Kenya, Chiame, or Bravo, everybody was coming in here. This is where it was. Bantama High Street will hold all the biggest festivals and all that. It was here. For some reason, he moved into Accra. That's the 2006, 2007, 2008 when he had crunk music. And you had Richie and his Links boys taking over the whole music industry. That's how big it was back then. From then, because of beef and all what it was, he moved to Tema because when Asem and the Tema boys had that beef and he moved there. So I remember when this whole Kumerica thing started, I was like, listen, the music thing had been moving. There's been spaces, it's been moving. If we are not careful and we don't hold this and make it move beyond just the music, we might just lose it. And that's where Slim says that it's been still. Because it's been the music and the artists involved are exploring.
We had also heard of pockets of beef between some of the parties involved. How true is this?
It's of beef.
I mean, it's quite normal for artists to have their own misunderstandings and to beef among themselves. I mean, it does happen. You can't run away from that, especially when it has to do with rap and the braggadocio and all that. Artists have their own way of going about that. It happens everywhere. But I don't think that's the reason why we have the Kumerican vibe not as big as it was 2 years ago or a year ago. The artists are exploring new sounds. And unfortunately, these new sounds are general sounds that nobody, or more like everybody is doing. If you are talking Afro beats, the whole thing is about the Nigerians now. Just last night, the American Music Awards had the awards and Wizkid winning the first ever category. That's the favorite Afrobeat artist. If you look through the category, he had like 5 or 6 Nigerian artists. There's Afrobeat, it's theirs. So if you have all of us doing Afrobeats, then you get into a bigger conversation where you might not really matter.
Okay.
But if it had to do with the sound, which was drill, which Kumasi was all about, then you'd always be represented.
Just let me hold you on for a second and then bring this back into the studio here. I want to pose 2 questions to a question to Kweku and Kofi, who are live in the studio here with us, and I'm very sure you also want to react to this. But let me ask you a very hard question, boys. Okay, now your gatekeepers, your foundations, your pillars like NY, Portfolio, DJ Slim are still based in Kumasi, holding the fort and creating the conversations there. You guys have relocated to Accra. Does this defeat the purpose of empowering and enabling the Kumerica vibe?
No, honestly, I would say no. No, in a sense that, I mean, there are a lot of people, there are a lot of Ghanaians here that have traveled outside to America. That doesn't make them American or like they are from those countries. They still represent Ghana. Once we are from Kumasi, that we've moved to Accra, we are in for the business. You understand?
But doesn't that go back to defeat what's the purpose of creating a certain environment where artists should believe that in Kumasi, that regardless where we come from or where we are?
I would say it's me, for instance. I mean, I was in Accra before blowing up.
Okay.
So I was in Accra before the Kumerican wave. But I'm still in Accra, so it doesn't take anything away from me.
But we see you here more.
Maybe.
Yes, because I've been here for a long time, even before the Kumerican wave.
Maybe to change, to redirect for J. Foley's question, do you think that your presence is needed back home in Kumasi to be a frontliner and be visibly present to help push up the Kumerica movement? Because the movement is not just about I release the song the song department. Your physical presence, they're interacting with people, media runs, boys being able to see you, appearances, all that.
That's true, but most of the times I'm in Kumasi. I mean, almost all my music videos too, I shoot in Kumasi. So I still have that Kumasi energy around me. I go to Kumasi, I do the media talk, shoot music videos. I mean, engage in other shows and other activities and all that. So I'm still a Kumasi boy, I'm still a Kumerican guy also.
I'd like to hear Slim and NY and Portfolio's reaction on this. But Jamar, you as well?
Yeah, for real. I get.
Are you guilty?
No, I'm not guilty. I get where you're coming from, but I feel like we are here to push the culture. The culture is already there, but we are here to push it.
But shouldn't it be pushed from Kumasi?
From within,
not necessarily.
Like what the gatekeepers they are doing?
Not necessarily.
Because NYDJ can move from YFM Kumasi to YFM Accra if he wants. It's just a snap of a finger.
Yeah, true. I get you, but I feel like we being the pioneers, we have to you can't just stay. You can't just be still while the culture moves you forward. sometimes you got to make
an example is northern artist, what's his name, Fancy Adams.
Yeah,
he's stationed in the north.
But most times, I feel like most times he comes around here to do promotions, to push things forward.
But in most of his videos and things you see posted, he's
back there.
in the
true,
north.
For real.
I know I'm pushing you to the wall.
But I say there haven't been a conscious effort to revive the Kumerican movement. I feel like there haven't been a conscious effort. Because they are talking together, but there haven't been a room with all of us together planning how this goes.
Okay, hold on right there. And let me go to I say Fat Joe, DJ Slim.
I just want to pick the feed now, and
DJ Slim and Portfolio. If you could hear Kofi Jamar, I'm asking you, do you feel your artists have failed you in terms of being as present physically in Kumasi or in the Ashanti region as you are?
Nope. It's about representation. And they are doing a massive job by representing us in Accra. We're super proud of them. We're super proud of the heights that they've achieved. I mean, my brother, Kofi Jamar, shouts going out to you. Jamar,
make a shout. I said, Slim, I'm pushing this hard question to you, and I feel it's a political answer you are sharing with me. That you could have, Slim, you know you are a very hot and sought after DJ. And various stations in Accra have definitely put up, requests to have you, be a presenter here or host an on-air personality here. And same goes to you, Portfolio, as well. So I'm asking again that do you feel the physical location of some of your artists has gone back into defeating the purpose of creating a vibe that is supposed to represent you, that is Kumerica?
No, just like I said, no. They are representing us fair and square in Accra. They are representing us even beyond Accra in the United States, in London, in Holland. I think Asa Cowboys were in Amsterdam a couple of weeks back, and all. They are just representing us, and we love it. We love it. In fact, they are for want of a better word, they are our biggest trophies.
Do they speak about you? How often do you see tweets? How often do you see posts that represent and speak hard of Kumerica like we did 2 years ago, as compared to what you guys are doing, daily?
Jay, it's simple, and it's normal for every business or every brand to go through that type or that phase. Because, like I said earlier, I mean, I don't expect it to have the same level of heat as it was, because it was more or less a group of people that were, being kept or being branded as an underdog when it comes to the creative space. And when they broke out, it was a different feeling, and everybody joined in the movement. Like I said earlier, it's looking kind of stale because the other elements were not being pushed alongside the sound. So we are not bothered. All that we're looking for is our next event that is made in Kumerica on the 25th of December. We're filling the sports stadium, and that is a plus. It's all about Kumerica artists coming together to show love and give back to the community on the 25th. So that's what we're talking about. You see the numbers and you realize that and everybody is still feeling the heat as it's supposed to be, Jay.
Is Kumerica supporting you guys? I'm going to come back to Portfolio and NY. Is Kumerica supporting you guys and the vibe, the movement, everybody in the value chain that makes Kumerica? Genuinely and honestly, do you feel you're getting the support?
Yeah.
Because
100%.
To me, I see Accra has swallowed you and has taken the conversation away from Kumerica and has branded you in this space because of your physical location, one, and the activations and naturally in your subconscious, the language that you put out in your music. I haven't even heard anybody mention Kumerica since 2021.
Basically, for me as an artist, I was fighting for my individuality, because after a Koso, I dropped just one drill song afterwards, and I moved on to Appetite for Destruction EP. And that was to highlight the other stuff that I can do, the other genres that I can do. Because before Kumerica, I was doing that already. So that's why I say there's not a conscious effort to plan this whole thing. It's just something that came together.
Who do you blame?
I don't blame anybody. There's no one to blame in this. Because it's just something that I think God put this together.
But the leaders are on the line with us now. I have DJ Slim, I've got Portfolio, I've got NY. These
and
are stakeholders.
It's the work that it came to do is really
fulfilled.
It's really fulfilled that work because it gave us chance to shine. Kweku Flick and a host of other Kumerican artists that are in the limelight just because of the Kumerican movement.
I want to ask. I don't know if you want to answer.
No, when you're done,
no, go ahead because I want to switch to something else.
No, fine.
I want to ask Slim and the leaders
and Portfolio and
NY whether they think it's got to do, the reason we are having this conversation and talking about how we feel, which is obvious that Kumerica is not on our lips like it used to be a few years ago, is a change in sound of most of these artists that have emerged from Kumerica, because like we know, it was the drill sound that we could associate, or that was what introduced us to Kumerica. And again, also, why haven't we seen new crop
being birthed
from Kumerica? So now we know these ones. They've even migrated, and some of them are based here in Accra. Why aren't we having a new generation? What seems to be the challenge? So 2 questions I want to find from out from these gatekeepers in Kumasi.
I can choose the people to answer for you, and I want to hear from Portfolio and first on this as well.
Me.
Okay, all right. DJ Slim.
Well, to talk about new crop of artists, I'll first and foremost want to, let's understand that this movement is just 2 years old, and I believe there are still new artists being unearthed every single day in Kumasi. If you want to understand it, let me just look at one group of people. I'm talking about the Asaka boys. Are you guys aware that most of their big songs are not even owned by the mainstream Asaka boys that we know? There is Skyface, who owns one of the biggest jams. There is, what's the other guy's name? Kawabanga. There are so many, apart from the J-Bad, the Kweku DMC, there are so many artists. There are like 15 artists alone just from the Asaka music group. So yes, there are new artists popping up. And I do understand that there was a change in sound. I mean, right after the drill, there was the Afrobeat, invasion, which took over the mainstream conversation and mainstream radio. Automatically, it was bound to, push drill music to the curb. What I do understand and I do side with you is most of the time, our artists also failed a little bit to transition in between sound. The Kumerica movement shouldn't have been all about drill music. It should have been about music in general, of which we have spoken to a couple of artists in the region, of which they are producing excellent. And Jay, I'll send you a couple of them. If you guys can bless us with some rotation on your radio station and TV platform, we'll be very, very, very happy. They are doing excellent Afrobeats. They are doing far more excellent piano and all that. There were, however, conversations of the typical gatekeeper system where people, quote and unquote, some gatekeepers were like, okay, push this agenda away now, mafia, drill music, mafia more on a certain level. We understand how it works, the politics involved, how it works. But, these boys have also transitioned and they are doing excellent world music. I would say they are doing excellent world music as it stands now. I don't know if my brother NY has something to say.
Let's hear from you, NY.
Ms. Z, thanks for the question. For me, I think Kofi Jamar gave the very honest impression of what Kumerica has been. It had a job to do, and I think it is done. Especially when it has to do with the music. It was a face in our music industry where it gave birth to some of these amazing talents to actually let the world know what they were made of. Now, in making the world know what they were made of, there was a sound that came with it. They all explored that sound, and for anybody who paid attention, you realize that all those artists had their breakthrough, their major breakthrough within that particular time. Fast forward, they are still doing some of these drill songs, but they are not getting as much attention as they were getting when this whole drill or when this whole Kumerica agenda was on. So it was a phase. They had its function to actually perform, and it's done that. Now, what you do after that is what matters. Because all these artists are now releasing songs. Are they getting that high bars like they were getting? No, because like we said, there's been a transition of sound. That's why you have Afrobeats taking over. And these same artists are doing Afrobeats. Kumasi has talents who are doing Afrobeats, but they are not getting that buzz. Do you get it? Because the whole agenda about Kumerica was with drill sound. So it had a purpose. For me, I think this whole agenda, this whole thing about Kumerica, it will still live on, but people make reference to music most of the time. Unfortunately, like I said, if we had actually lived beyond the music and said, listen, explain well to let people know that it goes beyond just drill music, then it would have lived long. I mean, look at businesses. Now you can't stay, even radio and TV, for instance, now a 360 thing. We are doing TV right now. The same conversation is on radio. It's online. You can't leave anyone out. So the very moment you decide to stick to just drill sound, it gets to a point where people become tired of the sound. They want to hear something new and they move on. And if they move on, they leave you behind. That's why artists would always want to transition and explore new sounds and all that. So for me, I think it's done what it's supposed to do. Miss G was talking about the fact that how come we've not been able to discover new talents who are big like that. There are new talents in Kumasi who are doing drill. There are new talents who are exploring new sounds, but they are not getting the same attention because there was a moment in time where Kumerica was the ish, and anything that came from Kumasi had that attention. Unfortunately, that same buzz and that same attention is not there. Now, if I may shift a little bit, let me get to this conversation about our artists leaving Kumasi or being in Accra or being elsewhere. Okay. I mean, in today's world where there's technology and all that, you can say that, listen, we don't really care where they are so far they are still pushing the same agenda and pushing their music. But let's not forget, it's really important that people sometimes see them. That's how they connect. That's how the people are able to feel a part of it. If you have a boss who sits elsewhere and always issuing commands, yes, they want to do the job, but that sense of belongingness is almost all the time missing. So it's important that if we say this, the agenda we are pushing, you can't be leading a narrative and be sitting elsewhere and expecting the people to do it. So it's important that these people sometimes, and I like the fact that Kofi Jamar was in Kumasi last week. Almost all the artists are coming through almost every now and then. And that's how together we can still keep the agenda going. We can still keep the idea, but obviously the sound must change and we must pay attention to that.
Interesting. Cyril's got a question.
I just wanted to say that, you know, like he getting to the end of his statement, he kind of brushed on what I wanted to talk about. And I understand my brothers and the versatility of being able to do new music and being anywhere in Accra and still holding it. But remember, there was a conversation where even the Ghana Music Awards, there was a time people used to tease and say it was the Accra Music Awards because it didn't stretch through the whole Ghana. So I think that having Kumerica being birthed in Kumasi, in the Ashanti region, having those organic talents and creating the kind of spectacle they did, nobody should have left that soon. It's not time for that. And I can reference you to the West Coast, East Coast of hip-hop, where you had Pac and Biggie, and they fighting to establish something in their own territory before it blows over, because the foundation is strong. So at the time where the Kumerica movement left things to go on its own, for me, was too young. Yes, there's a lot more talent. It's not just restricted to drill, Afrobeats, hip-hop, fashion, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But who are the key influencers? They are in Accra. Who are the catalysts who are going to blow it up? They are in Accra. Who are the ones who are going to bring their star power to the new upcoming artists for they to also get that same Kumerica effect? They are in Accra. So traveling to Kumasi or being able to connect to Kumasi is totally different from being in Kumasi. And I feel like it's not too late to reinstate that energy and that potential that the Kumerica movement has. I understand you that each artist wants to thrive on their own merit and I'll throw them to you and move on their own record and create their own legacy, right? But you need to come to terms with the fact that the unified legacy will always be bigger than the individual one. And with the unified movement, you all stand to gain more. You see the way you said it was just one song out of the blue before you know your life has changed. People in America, people in here. That's how it will continue bearing fruit for the next decades and decades and decades, because the collective impact will always be greater than the that's why you hear Tema. Sak can be as big as he is, but you know go rap, you know go mention Tema. R2Bs go be as big as they are, but they no go sing song.
That's another thing I wanted to ask the gatekeepers that before you come in. One of the things I wanted to ask you again is, look, I think, and is it okay to say, rather, let me put it this, is it okay to say that there needs to be a rebirth of Kumerica, where now you introduce yourselves again? When I say rebirth of Kumerica, with regards to music, because that's what we were talking about, where you introduce yourself again to us and say, look, it's not just about the drill music, it's a force.
This is what we've got.
This is what we've got. It's a force. It's not about these individuals, these are the new people or whatever, and say this is what our sound, if they want to narrow it to a particular sound, introduce that sound to us, so that every time we hear the sound, we know that this is a Kumerica sound. And then one thing I realized about your artists who are representing Kumerica, I don't hear them shouting it, say, oh, this is a Kumerica movement, or it's a Kumerica
this is what
song.
I was saying. This is what I was saying.
Or this is Kweku Darlington representing Kumerica. This is Yaltog representing Kumerica. So
please
anywhere in the world you hear it, you know that this is sound from a certain place called Kumerica, which is an identity you have embossed.
That is why I asked.
Music.
That is why I asked the artist your question. Please, Slim and NYU respond. But I just want to come back to please, Miss G. Let me just throw this your question back to the artist. That again, it's asking that you have you represented Kumerica well enough? And Cyril made a very valid point with Sak or Samini will say Amsterdam or DC, and we don't hear that in the music.
Okay, for our side, I would say, with regards to what Miss G said, when it started, we were used to the Asaka, that people were saying, okay, Asaka, this is Asaka song. So whenever we say Asaka, it means it's music from Kumasi. Whenever you hear, even our language itself, like the Chi language, me, for instance, I have songs that when you listen to, you get to listen to there are some Chi languages in there that you've not even heard. That's it. So that makes you know that, okay, this song is really coming from
But if
Kumasi.
I'm not Ghanaian, how do I get to know? You're selling not to only me.
We should not forget, we have a genre for Kumasi that we're forgetting very soon. That is the hip life song. Hip life is really from Kumasi. That we are forgotten. So me, for instance, wherever I go, I say, okay, I'm a hip life artist. I represent hip life, and once I represent hip life,
it's not
I
only
represent
Kumericans
Kumasi.
who are doing hip life. There are Accra boys who are doing hip life.
But there's no, when the Kumerican wave was in those, it wasn't only Kumasi people that was doing the Kumerican.
That's what I'm saying,
sound.
that you need. I'm asking whether you don't think it's time that you make an identity clear. So Kweku Darlington from Kumerica, representing Kumerica, so that if I was anywhere in the world, I hear Kweku Darlington, I know that this is an artist representing a certain movement.
One thing is, most of our people are afraid because, a lot of people have position Kumasi in a box that they think, okay, when you are from Kumasi, then you are like this or
so make that difference.
Make that difference.
Yeah,
you have the power now.
That is where the pillars.
Listen, looking at the both of you, looking at
you have already won through your music. You made a statement.
You are already the pace setters, right? Whatever you tell us, the consumers, or whatever journey you take us on in your music and through your brand, is what we will learn. So if people have that negative connotation about Kumasi, or they see how Kumasi really did, who go show us if you know show?
One of the reasons why we are not stuck in Kumasi. One of the reasons why we are not stuck in Kumasi, that we have to move around other places.
No, don't say stuck in Kumasi. We are not saying be stuck in Kumasi.
Yeah.
We are saying that you had a foundation that was in Kumasi. And that Kumasi foundation is what blew up a whole bunch of guys.
Sure.
Right? And then with the blow up, everybody decided to pursue their individual path. No problem about that. Man for chop. Cool. But what I'm saying is that the foundation was left neglected. For me, as a fan perspective,
to the on-air presenters only.
Pardon?
It was left to the on-air presenters.
Exactly, and the DJs and blah blah. But the boys who were rocking on stage, you all bounce. And when I say you bounce, it no be negative thing. Don't be say how they talk down on you.
I get it.
No be negative, but you were not there anymore. So it's like I hear Kumerica. I go open the doors and say where the Kumerica they are. 11 DJs and radio guys.
Well, it all stems from where, like I feel like it wasn't properly planned. Nobody sat us down.
That's what I'm telling you. That's what I'm saying, that now that you have these spotlights, now that 3 Music will put you on the morning show, now that people want you in Yankee, in London, and blah, 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 this is the time that you need to hold the Kumerica flag together.
Okay. For me, I was being like, recently I've been like everywhere I go for interviews and stuff, they keep asking me the same question, and they make me feel like, yo, the Kumerica movement is no more again and stuff like that. But so me recently, the idea that I have on my own is to go back to Kumasi and have a tape. I want to do a made in Kumerican tape with all the upcoming artists from Kumasi and also the ones who are already there, and blend them up and do a whole tape about it and do more stuff there. So that's what I want to contribute.
Which
that's
is solid.
In Sarkodie's recent... Oh, sorry, please finish.
Yeah, I feel like there's no one putting us all together. That's one thing that people haven't realized. The movement just came out of everybody doing its own thing. Yeah, so that's where.
And that's why I want the gatekeepers to answer, because they are the gatekeepers, obviously. So
I don't think they can get.
I think NY is already speaking.
They can get all the American guys.
Let's get NY.
You see, that's what I like Kofi Jamar. I mean, I think he's been so realistic, and I said this right from the beginning. Kumerica was not planned. It's something that came out of the blue.
So I'm asking at this point, you've said that already. And my question is, at this point that we know that it's become a conversation, isn't it the time to give us a rebirth of it? A well-organized one where we know that, like I said in my question, where we know that this is the sound, we have this variation, this is what we seek to do, and gets a way to have it in our head, stuck in our mind, and get your people to say it all the time when they do music that, oh, this is NYDJ representing Kumerica. It's a movement thing. Is something, so that wherever we wouldn't have to be calling for this conversation, say it's dying, because we are hearing it constantly in music. Anything they produce or anything they say, they are representing Kumerica.
I want to hear his reaction to this.
Yes, of course. I mean that's a good call, but let's not forget that, like I said, since this was not properly planned, individuals came in and decided to do their own thing. Everybody who came in was sort of selfish because everybody wanted to catch in the whole vibe and then get their own attention.
I think we're losing the link.
Now if you look at it,
because
if you look at it from now, as we speak right now, these individuals, there are several people who have to come together to make sure this thing works. You have the OAPs, you have the DJs, you have the musicians and all that, but who is ready to lead this forth? Myself, I mean, I've had the opportunity to actually move out of Kumasi, but I'm still here. I'm doing the best I can. These artists are moving all over, doing their thing from elsewhere. Now, the point is, who is willing to sacrifice to say, listen, I'm an artist. The OAPs can't do it alone by themselves. We need individuals on board. Are the artists also ready to sacrifice and say, we want to go all out and make sure that this thing happens? Even if we are not based in Kumasi, with our music, our sound, we're still going to be proud and say we belong to this and go ahead with that. Kweku Darlington made a comment about the fact that there's a stereotyping about Kumasi and all that. I've had that. I mean, I've had conversations with people and they say, Charlie, so
okay, anyway, I'm sorry. Slim might have to lower his sound there.
Get this thing going. Yeah, so if you really want to have this thing going, it has to be a deliberate effort by every player or every stakeholder in this industry to make sure it works. I can't do it alone. The artists themselves can't do it alone. So until we all decide to come together and put away our selfish interests, let's not forget, even when Kumerica was up there were selfish interests. There were this breakup. I mean, people claiming that they brought about the title, this person claiming that and that and that. These were all parts of the reasons why the whole attention kind of died down. We had issues. Even look at 3 Music Awards. I mean, at a point, some of these artists said they were pulling out because they felt blah, blah, blah. So many things happen, which we are all aware of. So until each party decides to say, listen, let's put our selfish interests aside. This is for us. When it works, everybody in the value system or the ecosystem benefits. It will be a problem for us. So let's not sit back and act as if it's all perfect. Individual interest is what is ruining almost everything. Until we all decide to sacrifice, it will never get back to what it was. And for me, like I said, it goes beyond music. If we are ready to put our differences aside, we can get this back working.
Slim, I'd like to hear from you on this conversation.
Great. First and foremost, I beg Miss G, the gatekeeper tag, it be some way small. So I beg, untag me with the gatekeeper tag.
Why you not the gatekeeper?
I'm not the gatekeeper. I'm way bigger than the
okay.
gatekeeper.
All right.
Make I take senior put up.
The gatekeeper thing is too much. And the gatekeeper actually positions you in a certain light.
Okay. All right. Hold on. Sorry. Let's hear.
issues with gatekeepers. People really have issues with gatekeepers. I'm not a gatekeeper. I'm just a stakeholder in this industry, and I believe that you have a solid point when you're talking about representation, Kumerica representation in the sound, and of course the transitioning in between sound. I like it. I like when you say that. But then I believe we don't need to reintroduce Kumerica. Kumerica is what it is. Whether it being a platform that introduces our artists to the rest of the world or a movement that can go beyond just sound, it is what it is. I believe, on the other hand, we need to also empower the other art forms in the region so that they can also push their works through whatever sound or whatever is dominating to get it out there. To answer Serial 2, it's about access. It's not about, the artists being based in the region. Because we already know that, whether there is a Grammy Awards CEO who is coming into the country, the person will forever stay in Accra and will never, ever, ever, ever step foot in Kumasi. So if we do not also make have artists who are actually positioning themselves in, the greater Accra, to also receive some of this knowledge and also some of these opportunities that comes with being in the capital, then what type of group are we? They need to also be right close to the plug and also receive some of the blessings that come with it. So it's about access. When we call them, do they respond? When we need them over here, are they available? That should be the conversation, because Jay-Z is from Marcy and he doesn't live in Marcy. All the big artists, in fact, statistics will tell you chances of you dying in your hometown is high. So don't even go there. I believe if we call them for events, if we need them to also, if we need them to also educate our people, or the new ones, the youngins, would they respond? That, I believe, should be the conversation. And I'm enjoying this conversation. I'll, however, want to chip in this, that my brother NY should also understand that whether we decide to also to have a unified front leading it or not, there'll still be beef. Beef is beef. People will hate you and will not want to work with you, whether you have head office or not. They will still find issues. People had issues in the initial stages, but that wasn't actually the main cause. The main cause is about the stereotyping that comes with the Kumasi brand or the Kumerica brand. The stereotyping has been allowed on commercial radio stations, TV stations, and even politicians are riding on the stereotyping. So as much as the Kumerica wave was big and it allowed people to escape, still it's happening. A typical example is what happened on 3 Music TV. And I mean, big ups to Jay Foley, you're my brother, my senior brother. You put my brand on. In fact, I'm talking about DJ Slim brand. In fact, this is the perfect time for me to say thank you. You put me on. But I was disappointed when Sarkodie sat in your studio and mentioned a little something about Kumasi that,
you see, you're not even able to say what he said about Kumasi. You're not even able to say what he said about Kumasi.
Okay, let's hold on.
Not even able to say it.
No, please hold on. Let's Slim finish.
If collectively, if I can land so that you get the whole report. If collectively we feel that the creative space is, some way limited to Accra and we want to expand it, because Nigeria has so many artists. Be free north, be free south, be free say. If we want to expand it, then we would also need the support of people like yourself, the team in there. Serial, you are giving us some input that Charlie, me free. I'm a free boy. It's not catch up. Senior man, we will need that support. We will also need you to also, set a deliberate agenda to also clean the stereotyping that has to do with Kumasi and creative art forms that are in this geographical space. That is my
very, very good point. I mean, and I'd want us to stay away from the Sarkodie conversation, because we are not going to do PR for the statement as to whatever it meant to represent. It wasn't said by us. Neither could we have controlled the words that come out of Sarkodie's mouth. So I want us to stay away from that. But let's let me just come back to Kofi Jamar, to Kofi Kweku. Now, so I mean, based on what we are discussing with the stereotyping, Is that a case? Do you feel sidelined deliberately sometimes by pluggers and connects here in Accra?
Because of?
Well, from the start, the stereotyping was much, and also the tribalism also. So, like me personally, I didn't want to indulge all myself in the Kumerican movement, because you could go somewhere and somebody would just hate on the Kumerican movement artist just because of the stereotyping or what you've heard. So it was becoming a little bit tribalistic at a certain point. So that's part of the reasons why I was trying to disassociate myself a little bit, not to indulge myself all in, because as an artist who's been invested in, I can't just
need to protect your
brand. For real.
I have a very strong question to ask you on that, but let me hear from Kweku Darlington as well.
Yeah. So for me, I would say, okay, so when the wave was in, people saw the Kumasi people like, oh, these people, they are small boys. So whenever you go for shows and all, they classify as, oh, these are the small boys or something. So when you are being able to move yourself out from that box, then they see you like, oh, then now he's there or something. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
I get
when
you.
When you're being able to move yourself out from that box, then they say, okay, they say they were draw or something. And Asante Force, what to add there, so to be able to get out of this box, you need to be able to explore and move to other places, make music out of your heart, not only for Kumasi people, but for the world. At the end of the day, we all want to win for Ghana, not only for Kumasi.
Okay, so let's look at this. If we talk about stereotyping, I think the people who are hardest hit in this country would be the people from the areas, the Volta region, where they might be the hardest hit with this conversation. But because if you look at artists like Kofi Kenata and co, they are enjoying all the attention, and Kofi duly represents and always speaks his fanti and always mentions locations and joints in Takoradi and in the West. Yes, constantly. And goes back to celebrate huge events with his people. So it's a consistent effort to clear up if there's any stereotyping of any sort.
For me personally, I'm always representing Kumasi and Bantama, where I'm from. If you listen to my songs, I'm always representing. But just the Kumerica idea, there was a stigma with it.
Do you know what I'm hearing?
Do you think Accra and Kumasi are just fighting for recognition
around
and
that time,
ownership?
Around that time, that was what it was. It was something like that. It was like a bit of a friction, something like that. So I didn't want to be all associated in it to drain me down at a certain point. Yeah.
Okay. But there's somebody who's tweeted, and I want to read the tweet. It says that it's just like a zone 2. It doesn't think that Kumerica can... let me read the tweet. It says, it's from Violence Agenda Nyami. It says, it will be very hard for the Kumerica vibe to bounce back. It's just like a zone 2. Now Amapiano is the vibe.
No, I don't.
Well, this one, let me pick a feedback from Portfolio. Are you there? We haven't heard much from you.
Yes, sir. Yes, I've been following the conversations. Interesting. All right, then. So, basically, I want to chip in this real quick. Talking about unity, a unified front. Yes. Do we have our own differences as people representing this whole American culture? Just like any other movement, yes. When this whole Tema movement started, I am cocksure the Saturday assistants now may possibly not have a pretty good relationship with all these guys he started with. So I feel that anyway, if you want to preach unity in trying to, as it were, use that to premise or being grounds why something can stand. Maybe I'm not a prophet who can say it's a lost battle, but what do we need? Focus and a common agenda. We can't force energies. If as a cowboys choose not to have certain form of relationship, maybe YP, if they choose not to get along with any other artist, that is not the focus. Kofi Jamar and Kweku Darlington sitting in the studio right now have had their own differences a little bit. But now the discussion is about Kumerica. And really? There has been a formidable voice. I get in it. So I'm saying, Amrado would acknowledge any Kumerican artist. Amrado was even the one who really recommended YP to Tim Westwood. They are not even friends. You don't need to be friends with a Kumerican or someone who represents what you stand for before you can really push the common agenda, just like Nigerians. Davido, Benham might have their own differences. Davido risked it. However, if the conversation is about Niger all the differences are still put, and the agenda is being pushed.
Portfolio,
So
unfortunately, I've been prompted that our time is fast spent. I'm so sorry.
Right.
That's when the conversation is getting really heated up. But I think, first off, let me just say a big thank you to the 3 independent media houses for coming together to have this conversation, to ABN Radio 1, to YFM, and of course to Plus 89.9 FM, as well as 3 Music. Thank you guys so much. I wish we could have continued this real quickly, but unfortunately, we need to be disciplined on air as presenters as we are. So thank you very much. We have to go back. Before I go real quick, let me just give it a chance to Darlington and Kofi. Newest joins real quickly.
So I have a new one out, Usama. I just dropped it I think this month. So it's out there, booming, very nice song. So people should just go check it out on all digital platforms.
Yeah, and I have my new one also out called Plan B. You know, and it was just to bring up, in my own way, bring back the Kumerican vibe, because it's a drill song and it's representing my
guys.
People, so
thank you very much. And just like how we all practice from people who do it well, we have to get going now. Time is up. But thank you so much for joining us in the conversation. NY Portfolio and to DJ Slim. We'll take this conversation onto our social media. Thank you. And to all of you who tweeted and supported us with your messages as well. Thank you very much. Name is J. Serial. Yes, and we out.